Yeah, like. Hello, everybody. Hi, everyone. We have 47 of you watching us right now. A very, very, very warm welcome and a very good evening to all of you. I welcome you to Women in Corporate Allies 2022, a virtual experience with 4 sessions and discussions planned for women and allies across industries and at different stages of their career to come together here in this very positive and thoughtful space. This is the 4th season of Women in Corporate Allies, which we fondly call WICA. And on behalf of Women's Web team, I thank all of you for joining in on YouTube as well as Daily Hunt, wherever you may be. I'm Anusha Singh, your host for the evening. I'm a lawyer turned corporate communications consultant. I conceptualize and deliver end-to-end bespoke branding and communication solutions that hold organizations in good stead, especially in the long run. And Women's Web has a special place in my heart. In fact, my relationship with Women's Web dates back to 2016 Breaking Barriers event, where I had the benefit of a mentorship session with Aparna Vedpuri Singh, founder of Women's Web, at a critical stage of my career when I was making the shift from being a lawyer to entering the creative services industry. And as they say, the rest is history. Here we are today with this year's theme for the Women in Corporate Allies Conference, which is all about how we can grow in our careers, overcome the challenges that are specific to women, and also create spaces for other women and marginalized groups as we bask in our own success. The idea this year is certainly to connect with India's most inspiring women across industries and empower yourself as women at work. The idea is to absorb what industry leaders have to say. They are with us right now around career growth, leadership, and navigating career challenges. And certainly the idea this year is to fly with the expert advice and mentoring that you get from the industry leaders. So gear up, everybody. Get the most out of the next 2.5 hours with us, with opportunities to listen to industry stalwarts, discussions on subjects that are close to us, such as self-care and long-term health, and certainly the chance to connect with other women who are as ambitious and talented as you. A big thank you to our partners, Daily Hunt, MASH Global, and NARA. At WICA, we are also big on sustainability, and that is why our award trophies are made of recycled material. Thank you to Dopology for creating those beauties. While we are talking about sustainability, we would also like to thank NARA, that is our gifting partner, who are absolutely innovative leaders in this aspect. The NARA Smart Reusable Notebook is a product with an idea of sustainability, as it is 100% tree-free. This notebook could be described as a smart, sturdy, and sustainable notebook which could be reused over and over again. If you are sharing about WICA 2022 on social media, if you're talking about what's happening, the platform you're a part of right now, please use the hashtag WICA 2022 and also tag us at @Women's Web. With that, I warmly welcome on stage Aparna Vedpuri Singh, the founder and CEO of Women's Web, a leading digital platform that enables women to tell their stories. Aparna is passionate about empowering women to chart their own destinies and support each other on their journeys. Over to you, Aparna, to talk about why we are here today as women and allies.
Thank you, Anusha. Thank you for that very warm and enthusiastic welcome, setting indeed the right tone for an evening where we come together not only to listen, but to absorb, to, connect with each other as we, watch on YouTube. I'm hoping that we will also maybe take a moment to say a word about ourselves in the comments section. Feeling free to introduce ourselves. Many of us might have already come across each other's work, especially if we have been part of the Women's Web platform, have shared our experiences there. But every year we also find that there are some, many new people who join the community. So this would be a good opportunity to maybe drop a note about yourself or your LinkedIn or Instagram profile, whichever you prefer, in the comments. And Savita, may I request you to, share a brief deck that I'd like to share with our audience, just to set the context about why we're here today, and what we really want to get out of it from a larger perspective, not only for this evening, but in a broader sense as to what we're doing here at Women's Web. And how can you be a part of it? Yeah, next slide, please. So I won't take too much of our audience's time, because as you all know, we have many wonderful speakers and our award sessions, which I'm sure all of you are eagerly waiting for. But I will just take 5 minutes of your time to set a brief context about who we are, the work that we're doing in the Indian context today, and how every one of you could be a part of it. And we'd love to have your participation on this journey as we go forward. So a very brief note about Indian women at work. I just like to share about one such person. And while, I've given her a name because this is one such individual we met, this is just one of the many, many stories that we've heard from members of our own, community, where women, despite being fully qualified, educated, ambitious for themselves, do not get to really shape their own career trajectories in the way that they would like, because family circumstances, social conditioning, so many different factors prevent them from doing so. But in this case, there was a happy ending to it, where the person was really able to upskill herself despite a very long break at work. She was able to really get more from the other members of the Women's Web communities, reading the stories, using some of our resources to upskill herself, connecting with other women at events like these. All of these really gave her the boost that she needed. And when we spoke to her, it clearly emerged that the support of other women on this journey was one of the things that really empowered her to move ahead. Next slide, please. So yes, I mean, the reality is that, less than 20% of Indian women are currently employed in paid work, not to, of course, forget the fact that many, many women do a ton of unpaid work at home. But if we look at paid work, it is really a very, very small percentage of Indian women who are at work. And that's a number that, all of us together absolutely need to change, not just for ourselves, but as larger, agents of change in this society that we're all part of. And we really say that, that 20% number is only one part of the story, because when you ask women what they want, irrespective of whether they're drawing a salary right now, their intentions are very clear. We did a study with, Women's Web readers, and it was very clear that, over 70% say that, 75% say that they definitely want a larger income. Over 80%, also say that they want the chance to have more visibility for their work in front of a larger audience. So certainly the case is not that women lack ambition, women lack opportunity in this country, and there's a lot that we need to do about that. Next slide, please. And therefore, we firmly believe that, all of us have an opportunity to be that agent of change. And that's really why when we talk about Vika, we say further together, stronger. So it's not just, that I am stronger, but that together we can all do so much more. And at Women's Web, that's really what our ambition is. For a long time, we have been, your storyteller of choice. We've enabled women to tell their own stories and brought that to you. But now in our second decade, we're also looking at a larger mission of enabling more women to access paid work. And how do we move that needle from 19 how do we move that number to 40%? And we believe that we can do it by empowering women, not just with stories or content, but learning, gigs, opportunities. So increasingly, this is our mission, that, we want to bring all of these to you and other women like you. And therefore, I will just talk very briefly about our work in a slightly larger context, which some of you may be aware of, but perhaps some of you have only seen our digital platform. So Women's Web is an initiative of Vocally Networks Private Limited. And Vocally is really in the business of crafting more inclusive workplaces by Hans. And we offer enterprises a number of services such as content architecture and creation, research, events, and experiences. And on the one hand, we bring more opportunities to women so that, they have the chance to showcase their work, find useful gigs, find interesting employment, find opportunities with companies. And these could be as content creators, these could be as potential employees, these could be as researchers. So increasingly, we are offering women a lot of opportunities through the work that we do for enterprises. And on the other hand, we offer organizations very high quality content, research, experiences. And how do we do this? We really do this by harnessing the unused skills of women. Many women who are part of our community may be employed, but may have other skills which are not being used, or they might be looking for certain kinds of gigs, project-based opportunities, and so on. And this becomes a perfect fit for organizations who want to really hire more diverse, who want to build more inclusive workplaces, and who want to harness the skills of women in a very focused way to really achieve their own objectives. So it becomes like a great win-win situation for both parties, with us acting as an enabler. And this is something that we're very proud of, that over the years, we've been able to work with at least 50 such organizations where we've been able to connect the community with, what large enterprises need. And finally, of course, how can you be an ally? There are definitely many ways in which you could be an ally to women at work while you're, working on your own career journey and strengthening your position, moving towards leadership, getting to where you want to be. On that journey, we believe there are so many opportunities for each one of us to be an ally. So to start with, of course, very simply, you can share your experiences, your insights, your learnings on your career journey through our digital platform, which is Women's Web, www.womensweb.in. If you are in a position in an organization where you're creating content, research, interesting experiences, maybe for your own employee cohort, why not consider utilizing the skills of women's many strengths, and do that, by partnering with us. So that's a great opportunity for you to hire more inclusively, whether it's for, projects, or even, for your recruitment needs. So that's a second way in which you could do that. And of course, in your own organization, if you are looking to, really build more women on their leadership journeys, then do come and talk to us about how you can use our content, our research, or our insights to help you do that better. And of course, be a part of events like WICA 2022 and cheer for yourself and every other woman attending. As all of you know, we have the Women in Corporate Awards being given out today, where we're recognizing some incredible women. Of course, every single one of you who's nominated herself, we're cheering for you, and especially for the shortlisted nominees and awardees today, who've been recognized for their work in either enabling more diversity in their organizations, bringing in more innovation, or really powering up your organization's growth in a spectacular manner. So we'll have all of these awards, and we'd really hope that you'll be cheering for yourself as well as for every single woman who's participated, because of course, as a woman, just showing up and putting your hand up to, be recognized and staking a claim to be recognized is the first step, we believe. And every woman who, has done that is a winner in some way already. So more power to you. So that's about it from me today. I welcome all of you to WICA 2022, and I'm really looking forward to our engaging speakers. I think any of you who's ever attended a Women's Web event will know that our events are very low on faff, very high on insightful content, truly thought-provoking conversations. We pride ourselves on being extremely honest and bringing real stories to you, whether we do that online or at our events. So please stay tuned and enjoy the evening.
Thank you so much, Aparna. That was, I think by now, everybody who has been with a part of the Women's Web community, as well as everyone who joined us afresh today, have got a fair idea of the beautiful camaraderie and the vision that exists with the organization and being part of this whole, the whole spirit of Women's Web. So with our conference theme this year that Aparna beautifully highlighted, which is being together, further together, stronger, right? Our conference theme is everybody further together, stronger. We have brought discussions for you around a range of subjects capturing this theme, extremely relevant today for women at work. With that, we commence our first session. Our speaker is right here, Amrita Randhawa, CEO, Singapore and Southeast Asia Publicis Group. She is speaking on a very interestingly crafted topic, shooting for the moon, build your rocket and crew. Amrita Randhawa is leading all of Publicis Group's capabilities across data, technology, creative, and media for the high growth Southeast Asia markets. Personally, Amrita is a risk taker, and nothing gets her going more than when people challenge her with something and say, it can't be done. Over to you, Amrita. Everybody, please feel free to ask questions at the end of the session.
Great. Thank you first and foremost, Anusha, for that introduction. And thank you, Aparna, for the opportunity to talk to you today. I think where I'm speaking to you from today is a perfect description of what it's like to be a CEO in an average woman's life, because I was getting my mom's health checkups done, and then now she got delayed on the road in Delhi. So here I am, stuck in a colony somewhere, driven up next to a park to make sure that I don't miss this opportunity in any way, shape, or form. So, shoot for the moon sounds like a pretty lofty kind of goal. And I remember when Aparna first reached out to me to talk at this session, I asked her, I said, well, yeah, okay, shoot for the moon, but what is it that you want me to talk about? And she said something that kind of stuck with me a little bit. She said, you've been intentional about the journey you've taken in your career, and I'd love for you to talk about that. And it wasn't until she said it that I actually thought about the intention behind my career journey. Because I think till then, if anybody had asked me, how have you got to where you've got to in your career? I would have said a series of happy accidents. And she actually got me to pause and reflect, which is just another way to say that you are never too old or too comfortable ever to, not listen and make yourself think. And as I thought about it, I think it came down to one simple thing as I look back on my career. It was the fact that I have always said yes to and put up my hand for the most tough job on the table, right? Not the easiest job, certainly almost never the job with the most money, not the best title always, but the job that everybody has said, ooh, that? Why would you want to do that? Oh, no, right? So I think that there has been intention, and I almost thank Aparna for making me look back on my career and think of that, because there has been intention, and that intention has always been to say yes and put my hand up for the most tough job there is. I'll start by talking a little bit about my career journey, and then maybe a few key takeouts that I've had along the way, if you will, right? The first is very much so, I started off working in the advertising industry in India for about 3 years. And then actually, I first went to China in 2005 as the trailing spouse of a husband who had got a job there. So I didn't have a job in China at that point in time. And it was, I must say, going out of India in 2005, it was a little, am I going to be able to get a job or not? Or is this, am I taking a back seat? And there and then, within 4 months of my landing, there were a couple of opportunities on the table. And then there was one opportunity, which was to lead a client team at Mindshare in China, which was a business that had just been won. The team was not formed. And there was a client with quite an aggressive deadline in terms of here are the things we want done and by when. And the other option was a stable team, well established, everybody in place, and a client relationship that had been there for a long period of time and everything was running well. So naturally, I took the one where there was no team, everything was being set up, and there was a client with an aggressive timeline. Move forward 4 years later, I took a regional client leadership role, again on a client which no one had been able to crack. And I almost put my hand up and said, "Oh, I'd like a shot at that, please, if I may." Because that was the interesting client problem that everybody was talking about at that point in time. Fast forward 4 years from there, and the CEO of Mindshare China job came up. And I can't say that it was an automatic yes. I had just had my daughter. She was just over a year old. It was a job that was a tough job in a tough market, which hadn't seen a lot of track record of success when it came to predecessors. I think the running joke was that every CEO had lasted about 18 months. So was I about to uproot my family and go live in China again for a job that maybe only lasted 18 months? Hell yes. Hell yes. Because as my mother said, when I spoke to her about the opportunity, and I was saying, "Oh, what do I do? My daughter Anjali's, only a year or so old. How am I going to be able to manage this job and her?" And she said something really super simple to me. She said, "When she grows up, do you want her to think that it's a choice between a family and pursuing the job you love?" And the moment she said it, I knew what my answer was going to be, because she's 100% right. I never want her to think. I never want Anjali to believe that there's a choice to be made. Yes, she can have the job she loves. She can have the family she wants. She can have the career she wants. She can have it all. And she can have much more than me. And the moment I realized that, I said yes to that job. And equally with the most recent change of jobs that I did, it was, you've always done media all your life. Do you want to come and run the whole thing? So my first biggest piece of advice to everybody who's listening is please, please put your hand up for the tough jobs. It teaches you a hell of a lot about yourself. It teaches you about your own resilience, your own ability to think creatively, your own ability to reach heights that you don't know are possible for yourself, right? So absolutely put your hand up for the biggest, toughest, meatiest, the thing that everybody says can't be done. Because you know what? Number one, guaranteed you can do it. And you learn so much about yourself as a result of it. And you will have the opportunity to shine a light, if you will, for others to also follow in similar paths, right? I've always been very proud of the fact that every single exco that I've sat on, we've made a material difference, not just in the female representation on that exco, but I would say that specifically in this part of the world, right, in Asia, diversity, equity, and inclusion has a meaning that goes well beyond gender even. Today in India, I would say socioeconomic inclusion is perhaps the single biggest aspect of inclusion that is critical for us to focus on. Where I sit in Southeast Asia, if I look at my peer companies, often their executive committees are dominated by people of South Asian or Eurasian descent. And I love the fact that my exco is 58% Southeast Asian nationalities, right? So that's the focus that I bring to the job, which is that I want to shine a light on diversity, equity, and inclusion, not purely from the lens of gender or any foreign definition, but to really listen to what that means to people around us in the company and to create an executive committee that looks like the markets that it services. So if my first lesson is to definitely say yes to the toughest job at hand, and the second lesson is because it allows you to shine a light on and do the things that maybe you would not have otherwise the opportunity to do in terms of shaping companies. The third thing I would say is define what your career means for you personally. I went very long time ago, not very long time ago, maybe about 8 years ago, to a 2-week course with Charlotte Mears, who was the first woman to become global CEO of Ogilvy Advertising, at a time where women CEOs were not ones and twos, they were just never heard of in advertising. She was the first big female global network CEO. And she asked us to do this exercise, which I find I still do with a lot of people I work with, which is to draw a picture and describe in a cartoon, maybe, or describe in a collage, or describe in a vision what happens when you walk into work, right? When you, the person, enters those doors at work, what are you bringing to the table that nobody else in the building has, right? I remember doing that for myself. And the picture that I drew was actually, that iconic moment where Superman kind of takes off his shirt and you see the Superman underneath, right? So mine was Superwoman, but never mind. Mine was that moment. And I felt like I explained to her that depiction as my personal purpose at work is to genuinely be the single best version of myself, to be the problem solver that people call on, to be the person who elevates people within the company. That's my biggest personal purpose. And the moment you do that, in terms of what it means to you personally, what is it that you bring to the table, you clarify instantly in your mind the kinds of work that you want to do. So for me, because of that, because I'm the inherent problem solver, I'm a fixer, I like taking complicated things and I like making good sense of them, I would be incredibly unhappy in a non-P&L job, right? Where I didn't have control over the profit and loss of the company, if I didn't have control over making material changes in policy, because I like to fix and solve problems for the long term. I like to make a difference for the long term. So think about what is that vision of you when you come to work that you bring to the table, because it'll automatically define for you what kind of work you want to do, right? And then when it comes to your team, the crew that Aparna spoke about, in terms of the theme, I would say there's a really simple rule. Find the people who absolutely disagree with you. Smarter than you, certainly, but absolutely do not hold the same opinions as you, right? Specifically in the corporate world, it's disappointing sometimes how much of an echo chamber senior leadership, executive committees and positions can be, right? Anybody in a managerial position has a habit of creating an echo chamber around them. Yeah. I would say rage against that. Rage against that, because I love it when I find the most argumentative, annoying, constantly niggling me on the side person, right? Saying that, because I don't want to hear the same opinions as myself. I'm very clear-minded on what my own opinions are. But often what I found is by having the most argumentative, the most different opinion people in the conversation with me, I found that I have learned more than any other time in my life in those situations, right? So when it comes to building that crew, find the people who are nothing like you in their opinions, nothing like you in what they want to achieve, because you'll have the best, most varied organizational discussion, best, most varied career discussion, and best, most varied organizational impact as a result. To the women who are listening in, to the allies who are listening in today, I guess I would say two things, right? First, to the allies, because I've had the blessing in my life, I would say, of having two mentors, both of whom were men, yeah, who were just extraordinarily visionary in terms of putting people into situations that could possibly get the best from them. So if you're an ally and you're listening in today, please do not underestimate your role I say this a lot about my two mentors, that they recognized my ability well before I had any idea, right? So these two gentlemen who are my bosses at Mindshare, and they do deserve a shout out, Ashutosh Srivastava and Nick Emre, right? These two people recognized, I think, my ability well ahead of where I was in a position to recognize it. And I don't think I would have gotten the job opportunities or said yes to the jobs that I did say yes to if I did not feel like they had my back. Because God knows they damn well did, right? So if you're an ally who's listening, please, please do not underestimate your role. Please continue to shine the light on that person you think is able in whatever way, shape, or form to make a difference, because you are the people who make changes happen, right? To the women who are listening onto this session, I keep coming back to it, that 19% statistic about women at work, right? I keep coming back to it in my mind. Maybe because I've worked in China where that number is a lot higher, and in Southeast Asia where that number is a lot higher. The very discussion that particularly economic impact and humanitarian impact. Humanitarian, why? Because organizations can be pretty faceless sometimes. They can be pretty inhumane sometimes, right? But the humanitarian and then the economic impact of fairness, transparency, meritocracy that you can bring into the workplace is unimaginable. It's unimaginable. So you have got to find a way to influence that part of the company, whatever company that is, whichever organization that is, whichever body that is. You've got to get involved because you're pretty incredible in the impact that you can have. If you don't know it yet, you just need to get involved to know what you can do, right? So say yes to the tough job, the toughest job on the table. Always say yes to that. Think about your own personal purpose. Think about what kind of light you want to shine for the people who come after you. And then think about what impact you make. And if you're a mentor, keep raising people up who can form a bigger part of organizations in whatever shape or form.
Thank you so much, Amrita Randhawa. This was absolutely mind-blowing and stellar. The way you have wrapped up your address, I think it's a learning for all of us, not just in terms of the takeaways and the content that you brought in with so much of personal experience and passion here, but also wrapping it up so articulately. Thank you for doing that for all of us. I think the audience have absolutely enjoyed it. We can see comments, excellent inputs, wonderfully said. Loved how simply your mother put it.
Mothers always know best. They always know best. Just don't tell her I said that, okay? Because I'll never hear the end of it.
And truly, big cheers and big heads up to saying yes to the toughest job. With that, we will move forward. Amrita Randhawa and everybody else, once again, a warm thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being with us. We have 65 of you watching us right now. Awesome. In case, of course, your questions are not addressed, we have certain amount of time constraint, but please connect with our speakers. Amrita Randhawa's entire bio is in the chat box. We are constantly sharing their profiles with you, so I'm sure you can get in touch a bit later. This brings us to the prestigious Women in Corporate Awards 2022. Women in Corporate Awards are awarded to women who have significant achievements to show as innovation, diversity, or growth champions within their organizations and industries. I'm so delighted that there are so many nominees wearing the badges today, and with an eminent panel of jury consisting of experts across domains, functions, and diverse life experiences. The Women in Corporate Awards 2022 is designed to bring to light the growing presence and success of women in India, Inc. Our jury members consider a range of metrics to evaluate the nominees for the awards. Those include insight generation, strategy formulation, stakeholder management, disciplined execution, and impact assessment. So let's begin with the first set of awards for the growth category. I thank our jury members in the growth category. They are Sumati Chari, Nisha Sampath, Dr. Ranjini Rao, Isha Chakrabarti, and Devapriya Khanna have been the jury members for the growth category for VICA 2022 awards. To present these awards, I call upon on our virtual stage Amrita Randhawa once again, CEO, Singapore and Southeast Asia Publicis Group. I call upon on stage Priyanka Namudiri, Director, Inclusion, Diversity and Equity, KPMG Global Services. We will soon hear her in the next session. And Zainab Patel, who is Chief, Inclusion and Diversity, Pernod Ricard, India. Over to you.
Fantastic. So I think I'm presenting the first set of three. So I'll start off with the first awardee. I will say that before I start, that reading the awardees' journey, right? Reading the awardees' journey for today was kind of super inspiring because I only got to see, maybe since I'm announcing the awards, some of the award winners' work, but it made me curious to go and find out more about all the shortlisted nominees and all the work that they're doing. So, very first the awarding goes to Sanju Rathi, who is content editor and PRO at Best Agro Life Limited. Sanju is the content editor and PRO at Best Agro Life. Her efforts have allowed Best Agro Life content to stand out on all platforms by grabbing consumer attention. And that's helped the organization in achieving deeper penetration across India. So a big virtual cheers and a big round of applause to Sanju, everybody. All right. Do I move on to the next one, Arisha? Oh, there we go. Slide changes. There we go. Slight delay on that. All right. Up next is Rashmi Joshi. So Rashmi is the co-founder of Zapcode Solutions and holds the designation of Product Development Head. She engages in training students, professionals, and young entrepreneurs in digital marketing, Python, data science, and data analytics. Her excellence and capabilities are also well recognized amongst her students. And can I just say what a personally important subject this is, because the number of young women who are involved in data science, analytics, coding, and the like is something that needs to increasingly come up. So fantastic job, Rashmi. And I've already announced Sanju. So the third winner is Sharmila. Sharmila is the team leader at policybazaar.com and actually a site that I go to sometimes, and plays an active role in business and client management. Her passion and enthusiasm have contributed to the high achievement scores within her own organization. So congratulations, Sharmila, and congratulations to all the three winners who have just been announced. You guys do amazing work. Please keep doing it. Please keep the standard as high as you have. All right, over to the next presenter. Priyanka, I believe that's you. That's you for the next set of awards.
Hi, everyone. Very good evening. So let's hear from Anusha. Do we have people here? Yes.
Yes, Priyanka, over to you, please.
All right. So let's look at them. So congratulations, Ritu Priya. Ritu is a strategic sourcing manager, and I don't see her name, or is there a lag here? I'm so sorry for that. Okay, now it's come up. Yes. Yes, thank you for this. Yeah, so probably it's my network connection. So once again, Ritu Priya, congratulations. Ritu is an associate manager with Hero MotoCorp, and she's responsible in her role for costing, process enhancements, and benchmarking. And as an expert in cost reduction, Ritu has helped the company profit with her communications and negotiation skills. So congratulations, Ritu. Well done. This is just brilliant. We'll move to the next awardee. We have Bhini Kapoor Alexander. Bhini is the HR director at Logic Motor India, and her focus has been on promoting an inclusive work environment and introducing learning and growth opportunities for her employees. And her goal is to ensure the presence of inclusive and productive workplace policies, which keep the organizational culture intact. Bhini, this is a brilliant job that you're doing, and hats off to you. This is no small feat. Congratulations once again. Up next, Neha Parashar, category head at Araldite Pidilite Industries. Neha has done a lot of work and contributed to the marketing excellence of a company, creating awareness about the products amongst contractors and retailers, and all her ideas for building qualitative relationships with the sellers, through online initiatives and virtual programs have proven to be of great benefit to the company. Congratulations, Neha. This is again a brilliant piece of work. I mean, it's simply, outstanding to see, our women professionals doing such stellar work, in different industries, different roles. So once again, congratulations. So back to you, Anusha.
Thank you, Priyanka. We have the next set coming up. Yes, we have the Trailblazer Vikas for Growth. And here we have Ruchi Jain, Director, Trax Fashions Private Limited, Aarti Joshi, CEO, Modak, Sonal Singh, Head of Operations, Ryan Placements, Smitha Ramankutti, HR Director, PTW International India Private Limited, Aparna Vishwas Rao, yes, Chief Human Resources Officer, Raymond Consumer Care Limited, and Sucheta Bhatt, who is the Chief Executive Officer, Dream a Dream. Zainab Patel is here with us to present the awards for Trailblazer Vikas for Growth. Over to you, Zainab, to announce the winners amongst our wonderful shortlisted awardees.
Thank you, Anusha, and congratulations to all of the shortlisted candidates. But as we said, we need a couple of people to actually go there and win it. So the first awardee is Smitha Ramankutti, HR Director, PTW International India Private Limited. Her focus throughout has been on building HR processes and solutions for faster and better business results. Her initiative at making the India leadership team one of the best in HR field has been highly appreciated by both her colleagues and her employees. Way to go, Smitha. Many congratulations. Our second awardee is Aparna Vishwas Rao, CHRO from the Raymond Consumer Care Limited. Aparna is the CHRO at Raymond Consumer Care Limited. She has helped in designing a new organizational structure during the lockdown and has helped move and evolve and implement a digitally fast-forward strategy for her company. Her initiatives have focused in the employee engagement and the cultural growth of the organization. Kudos, great work, Aparna. Moving to the last awardee in our Trailblazer section is Sucheta Bhatt. Sucheta is the CEO of Dream a Dream, a non-profit organization that empowers children from vulnerable backgrounds. Her organization focuses on influencing educators across India by developing their abilities to be caring and empathetic. This is known to positively impact the life and skills of young people growing up in adversity. Many congratulations, Sucheta. Over to you, Anusha.
Thank you very much, Zainab. And warm congratulations to everybody. VICA 2022 Growth Champions and Growth Awardees, everyone. Cheers to taking the professional leap. Cheers to celebrating everything that you have done so far to be in this place and position today. And certainly, I mean, all of us are achievers and all of us are allies, most importantly, as we bask in our own glories. I'm sure all of us will open the door for so many to walk forward all along. With that, we are going to move forward to an interesting panel discussion. But everyone, if you're sharing on social media, please use the hashtag VICA2022 and also tag us at @Women'sWeb as you share your award wins, as well as the sound bites that you might be noting out of what's going to happen now. We have Priyanka Nambudiri with us, Zainab Patel, Shilpa Singhai, and Aparna Vedpuri Singh. The theme of the panel discussion is building and communicating your authentic digital presence. I introduce our three panelists. We have Priyanka Nambudiri, Director, Inclusion, Diversity and Equity, KPMG Global Services. Priyanka comes with over 18 years of experience in driving people-centric change management and transformation programs across industries and geographies. In her current role, Priyanka leads KPMG Global Services Inclusion, Diversity and Equity agenda, helping the firm further build and enable a diverse workforce and foster an inclusive culture. I welcome Zainab Patel once again, Chief Inclusion and Diversity, Pernod Ricard India. Born in Mumbai, Zainab is a transgender person and is one of the petitioners in the NLSA, very, very well-known National Legal Services Authority versus Union of India case on transgender rights. She currently works with Pernod Ricard India as Chief Inclusion and Diversity. Prior to this, she also worked with KPMG as the Director, Diversity and Inclusion. Her areas of interest are health and social development issues, and she comes with over 20 years of national and international work experience. I welcome on the virtual stage our third panelist, Shilpa Singhai, Managing Director, Partner, CMT at Accenture. Shilpa is the Managing Director, Communications and Media and Client Account Leader at Accenture in India. She is a lifetime advisor with a flair for striking benefit-linked deals. Shilpa loves to dabble in Hindi poetry in her spare time, and she is a fitness enthusiast. Aparna Vedpuri Singh will be moderating the session, founder and CEO of Women's Web, a leading digital platform in India, an authentic space for women to express themselves, as well as connect with others and find suitable opportunities. I'm sure all of us can vouch for it as we are part of the Women's Web community and welcome so many more to join in. We have 16,000 people viewing us or 16,000 views on Daily Hunt right now. So please, here we are. Aparna is an entrepreneur for over a decade now and has grown Women's Web as a platform that boasts of over 12,000 content creators, besides an omni-channel reach in millions and an enterprise client list that includes some of India's most inclusive companies. Handing over to Aparna now for this session. Let me remind you at the end, of course, you can ask questions. And if you have a specific speaker in mind, please mention the name of the speaker.
Great. Thank you, Anusha. Thank you so much. And welcome my fellow panelists, Zainab, Priyanka, and Shilpa. Lovely to have you all with us today.
Same here, Aparna. It's a pleasure to be here speaking to you and the other people who are listening through other digital means.
Right. Thank you so much. So we'll dive right in, So the word authenticity, right, personally interests me a lot because we use it in so many different contexts today. So at one end is the word authenticity, and at the other end is, the whole question of digital presence. Definitely, as all of us are growing in our careers, there is a lot of pressure on us to, be there on every platform, and the number and nature of platforms is constantly morphing. So, it was something else earlier, and now, there's Instagram, there's LinkedIn, there's before it was banned, TikTok, and probably something else tomorrow, which all of these will evolve into. And there is definitely some kind of pressure on all of us to, not just be present on a variety of platforms, but also communicate ourselves well in a way that builds our careers, right? So that's, I hope I have my other two panelists with me as well.
Yes, everyone's there. Everyone's there, Aparna.
Okay, sorry. I'm able to see them here as a panel, so I was just wondering. So Zainab, Shilpa, and Priyanka, and I'll maybe request each one of you to take it up, this question. So my first question really to you is that in this context, what does authenticity mean to you, and how do you translate that to your own digital presence in terms of where you want to be and what you want to communicate? Zainab, can I request you to go first?
Thank you, Aparna. And I'm going to be very brief in view of time. See, for me, when I looked at authenticity as a transgender person, I specifically feel this very strongly. For me, it's not really a fixed point on a map. It's fluid, just like my identity is. And if I look at the different age groups that I have been over, today I'm 41, it's basically shifted over the course of my life. But does it mean that I was not authentic at each of those segments? Definitely not. I was authentic, but I found authenticity coming in very different fragments. And I also felt that it evolves substantially over time. For me, it was about how I live my life, my interests, my principles, my priorities. And, as you grow, I felt that the depth within what I spoke changed drastically. And, I think my sense of achievement was that one day after a particular session that I was speaking on, someone comes up to me and says that, "Oh my God, I didn't realize you're the same person online and offline." And I think, and I took it as a very, very positive sign of looking at some variable around authenticity. You rightly pointed out TikTok and stuff. And let me tell, I come from the generation which we had Orkut, and then that moved on to Facebook. Then now there's Instagram, and there are so many other channels where you're trying to prove to yourself, prove to others that what you truly believe and actually leaves an impact for people around you. So for me, making real connections as a digital nomad really matters. So for me, if I only kind of look at this, authenticity will count in everything that you do. Your consumers, whoever is looking at your content, calls out bluff. So if you are telling stories, if you are looking at being a responsible person, they immediately point that out and they stick to you. But the question is, are you authentic enough? Are you creative enough? And are you responsible enough?
I think what I'm, really taking out of, there's one word, in fact, which really stood out for me, that is, connection. So I'm going to, take that next to you, Shilpa. How, do you express yourself on digital platforms with that, what does it mean to you to be authentic, in a digital world that we live in?
Right. No, I think, so first of all, let me point this out that authenticity itself is such a well-chosen trait that you've picked up, because there are many realms in which we operate, and digital presence really can be based on a lot of foundational elements, but you pick authenticity, and that is really, I feel that is really the foundational trait. Zainab beautifully pointed it out by saying someone told her that your online, offline versions are consistent or coherent. And I think, that says it all. I think there's nothing that can top that sentiment. Authenticity, while we are all trying to be different, because the different in this crowded digital world stands out, but you can not be different by pretending to be someone else. So being yourself, being authentic to your own sense of purpose, your own audience, and what you're trying to do in this online world is very important. And hence, authenticity is extremely important. I ask myself some questions. Who are my audience? What am I trying to be? Are my personal and professional goals different? Are they at conflict with each other, if at all? And if that is so, then how can I be authentic to both in my online presence? Because it's not only one face that you're showing to the world, which is your professional one. You already have some digital footprint that remains, whether you like it or not, on the personal space. So I'd say that those are some of the questions that I'm asked myself when I consider being authentic in digital presence.
I mean, I love that you brought up the, issue of what are the questions that you ask yourself. And maybe I'm going to actually take that to Priyanka and ask her to reflect on it. Priyanka, I mean, what would you say when it comes to communicating authentically on digital platforms? What are the questions that you've asked yourself, and how do you go about deciding what to share and what not to share, or where do you even want to be present and where do you not want to be present?
So, Aparna, great question. Am I audible? Just want to make sure.
Yes, you are.
Right. So, the whole idea is, when we talk about digital presence, right? Just like anything, anything that we do in life, whether at a personal level or at a professional level, I think some of the questions that I probe or I look within for answers, things like, what am I trying to achieve, when I'm trying to establish my presence on the digital platform, or when I'm trying to strengthen my digital platform. So what am I trying to achieve? So basically trying to answer that why, what's the purpose like, whether am I trying to build a brand for myself, whether I'm selling a service, or I'm trying to establish myself as a thought leader in a particular domain, or am I trying to influence people, in terms of how they think and act? Or am I trying to speak and stand up for a community? So, for us to be able to really leverage and capitalize on everything that, our presence in the digital world can offer, we really need to be sure of why we want to be there in the first place. That's one. Second, we talked about authenticity, Zainab spoke about it, Shilpa spoke about it, you spoke about it, right? So the question that I would ask myself is, how can I show up authentically, in a way that truly reflects who I am, and what makes me, and, what makes my perspective mine. We spoke about uniqueness. I think Shilpa touched upon this, right? So that's another thing. And the whole idea is, while, there's no limit to, or there's no limit to how much we can stretch ourselves, right? And go beyond the comfort zones or comfort levels. How do we show up digitally or on a digital platform which is safe for us and safe for others as well? So this is a question I consider very pertinent, especially for all the diverse communities, right?
Absolutely.
So, and again, how do I really build trust? Because if there's something that I want to put out there, right, people have to believe in it. People have to see that, what's coming out from me, any content, it's credible enough. So how do I build that trust?
Right. So, I mean, Priyanka, since you mentioned the issue of, not just, basically the starting with the why, right? So not just being there, but understanding really at a deeper level as to what do you want of it and why are you there? So maybe I'll ask you to reflect, or, take that forward into my next question as well, which is really, how do you know that you're on the right track? Because today a lot of us are constantly doing, right? Like, and maybe at least I feel this for myself, that sometimes maybe I'm spending too much time doing and not enough reflecting. And I'm sure a lot of people listening to us today also have had this problem, that you're constantly sharing about yourself, but you're not reflecting enough maybe on, is your digital presence going on the right track? So what would you say to that? How can we identify if we're really, heading to where we want to be? or need to be?
So, Aparna, I remember when you introduced this topic to us, you used the word pressure somewhere, that, most of us are under the pressure to be present, uh, on the digital platform as much as we are there everywhere else. So, and of course, I think this pressure for women, especially women professionals, it's much more than anybody else, given the fact that we have all sorts of pressures, right? So this is another pressure that we face. Uh, Whether we like it or not, women always hear, okay, you need to be more visible, you need to be, networking, you need to be out there, be on the social media, post something on LinkedIn, write a blog, right? So what I think we should do is take a pause, reflect, again, go back to our goals, right? Because there is no point in jumping, onto a bandwagon and just giving into a pressure because someone else or others are doing it. Let me also write something on LinkedIn. It has to, again, tie back beautifully with what you really believe in, and why would you want to be digitally present? Because I also know a lot of people, a lot of women who are very successful, but are not seen on LinkedIn, not seen on Insta. So they must be doing something right? And it's working for them. And there is no cookie cutter approach, I would say. What may work for me may not work for you. There are, the channels, there are so many channels, right? For example. So what may work for me may not work for somebody else. So it's very important, again, to just go back, do that internal assessment, reflect time and again, here and then. Why would we want to present ourselves there? So that's a very important thing to do.
Zainab, can I bring that same question to you, but maybe with a little bit of a twist? I want to bring in the concept of understanding. So one is, how do you know you're going in the right direction? But also, do you ever wonder that are you being understood in the way that you want to be understood or perceived?
Okay, that's a very interesting question, Aparna, and I'm going to give you an example of how social media trends actually work. Do you know which is the most liked photograph on Instagram? You will be surprised by the response. Does anyone on this panel know which is the most liked picture on Instagram?
I don't.
I have no idea, Zainab. You'll have to enlighten
You'll
us
be
today.
surprised. The photo is that of an egg called Eugene.
Yes.
It has 52 million likes and 10 million followers. And for the 10 million followers, it's a huge mystery who created, why it has been solved. And since it is, someone started it, nobody really knows what is the story behind the creation. But then I happened to read another person, an influencer, who actually said that people sometimes are way too influenced by what they see. And that is directly linked to what you're trying to portray on this. So the question is, again, coming back to what you asked us earlier, uh, you know, for me, when I want to stand out from an authentic content perspective, like by nature, I'm very reserved, but on the digital space, I appear to be very social. I appear to be very approachable. And how do I do that? I will thank people. I will like their comments. I will tag and mention them. I also review other people's comment and things. And that means for someone like me, checking my social media account almost every hour. So it's also all consuming for a person like me. And second thing is, as a trans person, as a human rights activist, I stand up for something. My belief is coming that nobody really wants to read random stuff in their scroll feed, right? They want to see something which is authentic. So that means that it's also my voice, the value that goes with it, the way I dress up, the way I speak, and what I'm trying to communicate. And I think the biggest thing that has worked for me is admitting that I have been wrong on a couple of occasions, or admitting that I haven't had the accurate expression to put into words or into the images or in the film. And calling that out because the people who are consuming it call out your bluff like no one's business. And the internet is a ruthless place to be. See, I'll tell you my own organization now, Pernod Ricard. It's in the alcobev space. No matter which post you put on diversity, inclusion, on the brand, you get hate messages. You get hate messages saying like you all should go off business, you all are destroying people's lives, and people. And then there are people who like I'll give you an example. We introduced a brand called Unwind, which was basically looking at non-alcoholic wine to give those who are teetotalers an experience of what drinking wine can actually taste like, and it's quite near to the real stuff. And someone lambasted us saying that this this point without getting into the specifics of it, and they in that sense they called out the bluff immediately. So my question is that your conviction actually matters in what you're trying to present, because people are going to be bulldozing you with their opinions about what do they think you are, because 99% of people who are coming to see your content are getting influenced by what do they think you are actually trying to communicate rather than what you are actually trying to communicate.
So, I mean, while, of course, there's always scope for a lot of misunderstandings, both willful or otherwise, what I found very interesting is in some way you're also saying that you're creating the space for more understanding through more engagement wherever you can, which is where your conversations, your clarifications, your readiness to even accept if you've not articulated something the right way, right? And I think that also takes some guts, because it's very hard to say on a digital platform that maybe I didn't do this quite the right way. So let me also take that question to you, Shilpa. How do you sort of assess yourself, and or do you ever assess yourself, and or do you ever wonder that am I growing my digital presence in the right way? Am I really doing it the way I need to do to get to where I want to be? What are the questions that you ask yourself?
I think I categorize myself as a person who's acutely aware, and also I'd say that I'm also very careful about the image that I want to portray, and hence it involves a lot of frequent self-reflection and checking, to be honest. I think there are two parts to this question itself, and hence two aspects that we can all keep in mind when we're trying to assess or evaluate our digital presence. The one is obviously to always look out for the best way to evaluate your digital presence. That could be just simple searches. That could be even adopting some micro habits. I'll give you an example of that. Like, for example, so most times when we all go for a meeting, for me, I'm in the business of management consulting, so client meetings are very, very important. So when I'm going to meet a client CEO or a CXO, I typically will search that person. But after I search that person, immediately afterwards, I'll search myself as well. I'm also trying to think from that person's point of view. If at all he or she, hits the search button on me, what are they seeing first up? And do I have those keywords? Am I going to connect with this person from that context? And some of the very interesting things have come up really for me to be able to update my LinkedIn profile, for example, or my presence in some things that I can control in my digital presence. Many things you can't control in your digital presence. So to be able to really connect better, or to appeal to your audiences or to your purpose much better. So I'd say that that part, the evaluation part, is very important. You should frequently find a way or a framework to assess yourself, and not only on how you are appearing in some of these, social media websites, etc., but across the three realms of digital presence, whether it's branding, engagement, or even learning. And my second point is about learning, really, is that, you have to also, one is to understand where we are and how we are appearing to our focused purpose or audience. The other thing is also to understand which are the sources that we can learn from to move in the right direction, with respect to, adding more feathers in your cap, showcasing the right skills and really appealing to the purpose that you have designed, to that authentic image that or reputation that you want to paint, the picture that you want to paint. So I think there is a lot of careful learning and observing from others who do it well that we all can do on a day-to-day basis.
Sure. So I had one additional question for all of you, but I think in the interest of time, since we're running a little late, I'm going to basically, ask the panel to help us come to sort of like some memorable words that we can take back. So very succinctly, if you could just tell me, Shilpa, one thing that you've learned about building a digital presence, one sort of whatever you've learned or tip for success, if you just had to encapsulate it, what would you say?
I'd say that be yourself, because we are each very unique, like your fingerprint. You will, if you're yourself, you will stand out. Make sure that you don't lose that spark of being yourself in your digital presence. Curate it positively.
Thank you, Shilpa. Priyanka, can I ask you to reflect on that? What would be your sort of one final words on the subject for success in this space?
So, Parna, there's a principle that I try to follow in my life, and I use the word try, which is less is more and more with less. And that's exactly what I try to follow, when I communicate digitally as well. So, yeah.
So less, but do it well. Can I?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And Zainab, your last words on the subject?
I don't have last words in terms of that, but what I'm going to do is read to you all a small poem on digitalization, and it was written by someone called Imam Fatima. And I'm sure everyone is going to love this.
Wonderful.
So basically, the digital age causes alacrity in everyone to outshine each other visually. That's so true for all of us, right? In terms of the many things that we do. The digital age also obliterates the quality that makes everyone distinguishable. Digitalization has no place for the tiniest imperfection. Digitalization has no patience for the slightest inertia. Digitalization has no plans for subtle subversion. And finally, digitalization has no preference for modest humility. So take whatever you wish to take from this poem, whatever you want to make out of it. But the verdict out there is true that humility and modesty are something that we need to take and measure out from our own presence digitally. Are you a nomad? What is our digital quotient going to look at, and pan out our next few interventions?
Thank you, Zainab. Thank you all so much, Priyanka, Shilpi, and Zainab. It was lovely talking to each of you. And wonderful hearing, very interesting. I think each of you brought in slightly varied perspectives on what authenticity and digital presence means to you. So Shilpa, Zainab, and Priyanka, thank you all for joining me today on this panel. It was lovely having you.
Thank you so much, Aparna. Thank you, Zainab and Shilpa. Lovely hearing you both.
Lovely seeing you, Priyanka. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Aparna, for moderating the session so beautifully, and really lovely hearing Shilpa, Zainab, Priyanka. I think it was a very thought-provoking discussion. All of us have I wouldn't say key points, but really thoughts to go back and reflect, as each of the panelists constantly said, that, have a framework that you can constantly go back to for yourselves and question, why are you doing what you're doing in the digital world instead of following a bandwagon? We have some lovely comments coming in from people. One of, Dr. Pragya Kaushik has suggested that media literacy awareness workshops, for example, probably may help people understand, the meaning emanating from media discourse and how not to be a victim. Also understanding the difference between fake and real differentiations. We have Kanladi Singh saying, authenticity, have your own identity with courage of conviction. Sonal Singh says, such an interesting discussion around the concept of authenticity, and so many more. Thank you, everybody, for keeping the, the feedback and your comments buzzing. That really is so critical for us, as we are all allies in this virtual session right now. With that, we move forward to the next segment, awards distribution. I'm sure a lot of us here are waiting for that to happen. So it's Vika 2022 awards for the innovation category. I would like to thank once again from behalf of Women's Web, a warm thank you to our partners once more, Daily Hunt. Yes, we are live on the Daily Hunt app right now, MASH Global and NARA. Thank you to our jury members in the innovation category. They are Rachel Gojar, Nisha Sampath, Dr. Ranjani Rao, Kirti Datar, and Gitanjali Rajamani. To present this set of awards for innovation, I will call upon firstly Kaveri Engale, who is Head of Global Transitions and Strategic Programs, Voice Vodafone Group. Kaveri is here. Lovely. Hi, Kaveri. Welcome to the session. We have the first category here under innovation, Emerging Vika for Innovation. We have our shortlisted awardees here, Almas Rehman Sheikh, Global Test Manager, Tion Group. We have Dr. Archana Reddy, Consultant Oncologist, Omega Hospitals, Riddhi Bakru, Senior Category Development Manager, Fevicryl Consumer Products Limited, and we have Vaishnavi V. Joshi, Senior Scientist, IP, Photon Legal. Over to you, Kaveri, to announce the awardees.
So I've got the awardees for the Innovation Luminary, and congratulations to the winners, Chinhita Bose.
One bit, Kaveri. I think I just announced people, the shortlisted people for Emerging Vika. Amongst our invitees to announce the awards, we also have Shilpa Singhai and we have Isha Chakrabarti. Shilpa Singhai is Managing Director, Partner, CMT at Accenture, and Isha Chakrabarti, Vice President, Genpact Enterprise 360. So Shilpa or Isha, whosoever has the award-winning announcements for Emerging Vika for Innovation, could you please, do the honors?
I have it for the Trailblazers, so I think that's a different category, right?
Yes.
Sorry, Shilpa had to leave. Because of something that came up.
Okay. Cool.
I'll just announce for the Innovation Emerging category.
Great.
We have Vaishnavi Joshi. Vaishnavi is a senior scientist at Photon Legal and is an Indian patent agent. Vaishnavi's core expertise lies in managing operations for patents. She has also written several blogs to spread awareness about IP. Her innovation skills have led her to create new protocols in absence of one. Congratulations, Vaishnavi. Next, we have Dr. Archana Reddy. She's a consultant oncologist with Omega Hospitals. Her main aim is to deal with cancer from the grassroots level and provide awareness in the rural areas which lack knowledge about the disease and treatment options. Mobile screening camps conducted in the patient's locality have helped her work toward her goal. Congratulations, Dr. Reddy. We have Riddhi Bakru. Next, she is a development manager at Fevicryl and has worked as a senior product manager for Fevikwik. She has worked on the creation and innovation pipeline of the brand and has successfully relaunched the well-known product Fevikwik. Even with the challenges of the pandemic, she has delivered her work successfully. Congratulations, Riddhi.
All right, so now we all have before us the Luminary Vika for Innovation shortlisted awardees. We have Vidhi Chugh, who is the staff data scientist, Walmart Global Tech, Dr. Poonam Gupta, Medical and Patient Affairs Director, Servier India Private Limited, Saini Banerjee, Software Test Automation, Encora Technologies Private Limited, Zulfia Barveen, who is Senior Software Engineer, Redback Technologies, Chinhita Bose, HR Business Partner, Vikram Solar Limited, and Shreya Shi Chakrabarti, who is the Lead Product Manager for United Health Group. Over to you to announce and do the honors of the awardees in the Luminary Vika Innovation Award 2022.
Thank you, Anusha. I was very excited to announce the winners, right? So sooner than now, but now is the right time. So congratulations to the 3 winners in the luminary category. First one's Chinhita Bose. Biggest congratulations. She's the HR business partner at Vikram Solar Limited. An HR business partner at Vikram Solar Limited. Chinhita is proud of her contributions to revamping the 90-day buddy program at her organization, and her observations and learnings to promote inclusion in the organization helped improve the retention percentage of new hires and resulted in an overall higher employee satisfaction. So congratulations once again, Chintana. Our second winner is Dr. Poonam Gupta. She's a Medical and Patient Affairs Director at Servier India Private Limited. Dr. Poonam is the Medical and Patient Affairs Director at Servier, as I just said. Her campaigns focused on qualitative interaction between patients and doctors have raised awareness of a variety of diseases. Her initiatives have also helped doctors map patients' journeys to offer effective solutions. So congratulations, Dr. Poonam. And finally, last but not the least, Vidhi Chuk. Vidhi is a successful leader in the supply chain industry and is currently a staff data scientist at Walmart Global Technologies. She's an AI ethicist and a leading data governance expert who also leverages in AI, education, and community-driven solutions to enable diversity and inclusions. Congratulations, Vidhi.
Thank you, Kaveri. Yes, now we have the people shortlisted under Trailblazer Vika for Innovation. Trailblazers here. Deepa Duraiswamy, who is Director, Software GE BBS Healthcare Solutions. Reena Ryan, who is Director, Internal Audit, Global Analytics India Private Limited. Pooja Bhatia, Chief Manager, ITTO. And Divyatha Chelani, who is Assistant Vice President, Multi-Commodity Exchange of India. And our last shortlisted person is Priyam Bortamuli. She is Head Corpcom, Corporate Communications and Partnerships, Motherhood Hospitals, and Nova IVF Fertility. Over to you, Isha, to announce and do the honors for Trailblazer Vika for Innovation 2022.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And congratulations to all the winners so far. And congratulations to all the nominees and the shortlisted nominees. I think it's a big deal given how wonderful this group is. So announcing the award, I think the first name I have is Deepa Duraiswamy. So congratulations, Deepa. She is the Director for Software GE BBS Healthcare Solutions. She's expected to define the analytics adoption strategy to streamline and help improve the efficiency and quality of the key operations. Her strategic development has transformed the work processes in her organization and has enabled individuals to use their time for more productive, innovative work activities. So congratulations, Deepa, once again. The second name that we have is Reena Ryan. She is the Director for Internal Audit with Global Analytics India Private Limited. She assists in improving processes and governance in the company, a tough job, a very tough job. Her collaborative approach made the business provide complete support for conducting audits. She has helped set up a third-line defense from scratch to identify risks and has received appreciation for her work. Congratulations, Reena. The third name that I have is Divyatha Chelani. She's the Assistant Vice President and heads the ERM function for Multi-Commodity Exchange of India. Her innovative framework has allowed her organization to identify numerous risks related to financial controls as well as business. And for this, her efforts were highly applauded. Congratulations.
Anusha, you're on mute.
Anusha, we can't hear you, dear.
Yes, I've done the error that that is so common to the virtual world. And hey, here I am again doing it. Can you please unmute yourself? Yes, so I was saying thank you. I was warmly thanking you and Isha for doing the honors, and I'm sure it's a special moment for each of the awardees here in their career journeys and also in their evolution as the people that they are, the person that they are. Moving forward, I welcome you both back on stage as well as our panelists for our next panel discussion, which will be an equally thought-provoking one, and I'm sure more, will offer a lot of thoughts for all of us to take away. Before I announce that, I must tell everyone who's joined here and viewing the WICA 2022 that Women's Web is always keen to feature more experiences of women at work as well as allies. So you can certainly go to womensweb.in and simply use the register option to be a contributor and inspire and empower other women too with your own experiences. So we are all set for the next panel discussion, which is themed on how to find your seat at the table. We have with us our first panelist. I start with Isha Chakrabarti, who is Vice President, Genpact Enterprise 360. Isha is a change addict and she loves products. She started her career as a process associate and has over 18 years of experience in consumer service operations, program management, change management, and communications and product management. She's currently working as Vice President for Genpact's transformation platform, Enterprise 360. Welcome, Isha. I also welcome on the virtual stage Kaveri, Head of Global Transitions and Strategic Programs, Voice Vodafone Group. As the head in this position in Vodafone Group, Kaveri Engale leads the location strategy programs for the CEO office. She is responsible for driving growth and efficiency numbers through digital interventions and next-gen GTM plans. A very warm welcome, Kaveri. I also welcome on stage Smita Das Jain, who is the founder and CEO of Empower Yourself. Smita Das Jain is a chief executive coach, personal empowerment life coach, and neuro-linguistic coach practitioner. She has more than 14 years of leadership experience with Fortune 500 companies, advising Indian and global corporates in their business strategies and transformation. A very warm welcome, Smita, Kaveri, and Isha. We have with us Shruti Swaroop, founder of Embrace Consulting, who will be the moderator for this session. With over 2 decades of international human resource management experience across US, the UK, and India, Shruti Swaroop brings a global perspective to her inclusion interventions, coaching practices, and consulting engagement. I hand over to Shruti now to moderate this stellar speakers-led panel discussion.
Very good evening to everybody, and thank you so much, Anusha, for setting the tone for the evening. Lovely conversation in the previous panel that we had, and I was hearing that, and then the awards. So I guess the tone has been set for our session. Such stellar speakers, as Anusha said. The topic here that we have is about having a seat at the table, and who better than the wonderful ladies we have here to talk about it. So before we just jump onto it, quick question, which I'm actually going to ask openly, and anyone can take that question. How has the journey been for you to be where you are? I mean, having that seat, I know it's not easy. So just one word about your journey. Just one adjective.
Sorry. Okay, no, that's what happened when you have an open house, right?
Yeah.
So, Kaveri, you go ahead. That's okay.
The journey has been massive. Yeah, I would just call this scale out. It's been a massive adventure, is how I describe it.
So massive adventure is what Kaveri has to say. Smita, your comments on this.
Yeah, it's been topsy-turvy. Okay, it's not been a smooth linear road full of ups and downs, and just glad that I stuck it around long enough to be here today in this lovely panel. So
Great. Anisha, what's your one word on this journey?
I think I don't have one word, but I think it's something, it has been a journey of continuous learning and evolving. Because I think from what I started off, the work where I started off to what the work that I'm doing is completely different. I did not even study this. So it's completely about learning and taking on risks. So yeah, that's what it has been about.
Great. It's interesting you say that, Isha, because I think most of us would agree. I don't think we started by thinking we are going to be where we are. I think that's something we'll all agree with. I have a question for you, Smita, to begin with. I know organizations have been trying to do this for a very, very long time. And just this afternoon, I was having a word with a very senior person in the energy space. And she said, Shruti, we're doing so much effort in bringing in people at the junior level, the graduate engineers, etc. But somehow we just don't have the numbers. What's your take? What do you think is happening here?
That's an interesting question, Shruti. And organizations are actually giving a lot of thrust to the diversity programs. And to some extent, it is working. But over a period of time, it has become more of, especially at the entry level, having those numbers. And I would say in the MNCs, we are having these numbers to start with. In many MNCs, women do make up, 35 to 50% of people entering at the entry level. But then as we move to the top, a pervasive flip appears from entry to middle level, from middle to top level. There's a pyramidal structure that is there. And what is happening? Well, there are two things. First is the perception. The perception is that because of family responsibilities, women move out themselves. This is something that they opt out to. And then there's this reality. And this reality is that the prevalent gender disparity in the first step of the corporate ladder, which is, when the time comes for junior management to graduate to middle management role, that rung is broken. And that is what makes women to bow out. For every 100 men promoted to manager, only 72 women are promoted. And that's a number that has barely budged from 2015. And this explains that, because men outnumber women significantly at the managerial level, the numbers reduce at the top level because the pool itself gets reduced. And why is this happening? Why is this bottom rung broken? That is because of the subtle microaggressions that is prevalent at the people-to-people interactions at organizations. Those unconscious biases and stereotypes, all of us as women have faced it. I myself have faced it. First, when I got married, it is like, okay, you have just got married, so you won't like to take up outstation projects. Then when I became a mother, there was this feeling that, okay, you are a mother now, you won't like to take up challenging projects. And these stereotypes that people have, the biases that employees carry, the perceptions that co-workers and leaders take as reality, make women not to feel included at the workplace. And the perpetrators of these microaggressions, the bosses, which unfortunately still largely is a boys' club. So what happens because of those biases, they do not promote women to a higher level. The recipients of these microaggressions, women themselves, instead of fighting these stereotype threats and perception bias, they decide to move out and find their careers elsewhere. And that results in this broken bottom rung. So that is what is happening. All the diversity programs that are there in the organizations, unfortunately, despite the numbers at the entry levels, it is not leading to inclusion across levels.
Thank you, Smita. And it's interesting because you spoke about microaggressions, and just as I was saying, I was speaking to somebody this afternoon, and one of the examples she gave was that when I joined my current firm, my boss introduced me by saying that she's so and so, and one of the reasons besides that she's great in her work, the reason we decided to hire her is because I am ticking a box off my KPI that I got a diversity person into the system. And I was like, wow, that's like, so out there. So Kaveri, my question is to you. What do you think, besides microaggressions, some of the other challenges that women are facing? Because we know there's a very clear hourglass that's happening, right? There's the women at the bottom, there are women at the top because their compliances. What are some of the challenges for that hourglass that are there, for the hourglass to happen?
Lovely question. Thanks, Shruti. And by the way, I must say it, I love the sari that you're wearing. I have an eye for Indian wear and it's completely catching my attention. So, Shruti, to your question on the challenges women face, right? I think all of us know the external challenges very well. It's about the balancing of our personal lives, our homes, our caregiving responsibilities. Maybe sometimes it's the education background itself, that we haven't pursued adequate amount of qualifications for certain aspiration roles. So I don't really want to talk today about the external challenges, but I want to sort of just throw some light on the internal challenges or the internal demons within also, right? So for example, I feel that women sort of define success in a particular way, right? Is success really about sort of growing up the ladder, becoming the CEO at the cost of multiple other things? May or may not be, right? I'm not saying that, having such kind of a strong ambition is wrong or right? I'm nobody to judge. But I think what the biggest challenge we face as women is, first of all, getting blinded by the definition of success. Each woman should sort of just dig deeper, understand what success is for her, and then probably go and chase it. And if then you're achieving it by your definition, go out there and be really proud of it, right? So at this point, let's say, you have a woman who really wants to possibly take it easy because she's got responsibilities at home, and she wants to create a, sort of a nurturing environment at home. That could be success for her. There are women who would like to take their careers at a certain pace and, just get a good paycheck, get their due, and move at a steady pace. And then there are, of course, the more aggressive ones, and aggressive I'm using as a positive connotation, of course, who would like to, hit the top notch. They're willing to go all out and, achieve it. So frankly, I think the challenge is also within. It's about defining success for oneself and then sticking to it and being proud of it rather than, sort of feeling shortchanged or feeling like a sacrificed lamb, I would say.
Beautiful and very well said, because we usually just externalize it, right? Organizations, policies, processes, people, microaggressions. I think, how much are we doing it? And are we taking it as something that we're entitled to, or are we working on ourselves as well? So great. Isha, coming to you, what do you think are some of the initiatives organizations can take? And in fact, if I continue with what Kaveri just mentioned, what do you think are some of the things women can do for themselves to get a seat at the table?
Sure. I think great views, Smita and Kaveri. I completely agree with whatever you guys said. See, I think, to Kaveri's point, when she was talking about the fact that, it is the woman defines what success is to her, right? I think it has to, if a woman wants a certain position or a certain seat at the table, it has to be very intentional. So I think it's important for women, which I see a lot of times we as women don't do, is we shy away from really saying, this is what we want. I want to be a COO, or, in 5 years, or I want to do this. We kind of shy away. We really talk about the qualitative aspect. I want to, achieve this learning, and I want to be, but we shy away from talking designations, about really saying that I want a seat at the table. I think the first thing we need to do is start saying that to ourselves, and then start saying it to people around us. It's absolutely fine to walk up to your boss and say, hey, I want to do this in the next 2 years. This is what my plan is. What do you think I can do? Because what I've seen is, a lot of times, if women don't go and ask for it, as simple as, really going ahead and ask for it, they are overlooked because they feel, oh, you must not be interested. Like, Kaveri was saying, or Smita was saying, oh, you must not be interested. I like to call it the benevolence bias. Oh, you've just had a kid, or you've just gotten married. I'm sure you're not interested. No, I mean, so that's why I think it's important. That doesn't happen with men. Nobody sort of, if a man has, gets married, nobody says, oh, should we go ahead and approach him for a new role or a challenging role? Nobody thinks twice. But for women, that happens. So I think the first step is to just go ahead and verbalize and say, this is what I want. This is what I want to do. And then have that plan. And a lot of cases, what I've experienced myself is the moment you say it, people are like, oh, really? You were interested? I don't know. I think you are perfect for the job. Let's have a plan. Let's work towards it. So this has actually happened a lot of times. So as women, I think it's important to ask very clearly, this is what I want. And as an organization, I think we have to move away from the unconscious biases, including the benevolence bias. You cannot go ahead and say, oh, maybe she's not interested. Ask her. That's important. Another thing that I think women need to do is support other women, mentor other women. If there are women in your team, encourage them. If there are women in your team, there are a lot of times when a woman is planning or is on the path to planning a family, opportunities sort of start drying up a little bit because people are like, she's going to be out of action after some time. I think as women, what we can do is if we have members in the team and who share, that with you, that, they're on the path to planning a family, I think it's important for us to have that conversation and say, we have these opportunities. Would you want to still, go ahead and take it? And if they say, no, I want to, take it slow, great. But what if they want to take it up? So these are the three things I'd say.
Great. Thank you so much, Isha. I just have one question. You spoke about women helping women. And do you think we've been talking a lot about male allyship as well? Do you think that plays a role?
Sorry.
So do you think having male allies plays a role in bringing women to the...
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think when I say women helping women is because probably we understand it more and we've faced the same biases. So probably it is easier for us to, identify that maybe that person is also going through the same thing and sort of verbalize it for them if they don't. With male allies or male bosses or male mentors, they might not be able to identify it. And that is why it's important for you to go and talk to them about it. But having male allies and bosses is equally important because if you are gunning for a leadership position, it doesn't matter whether, you're a woman or a man. And if there is a mentor or if there is an inspirational leader you would want to go ahead and learn from, work with, it doesn't matter. I think it's important to go to them and talk to them. And yes, male allies does work because, like Smita said, we have more men in the leadership position. So the more male allies we have, it does become a little easier for women to be accepted or included more than anything else.
Thank you so much, Isha. Smita, quick question that I have for you. I think Isha had a very detailed answer for what women are doing for each other to get them a seat at the table. What do you think some of the things that organizations are doing to make it easy?
One thing is allyship. In the last 2.5 years, it has really come up as a concept, and organizations propound it, not only female allies, but as Isha said, and of course, organizations have more men. So we have male allies who are actually working as force multipliers. The other thing, they are doing those communications and training programs. So they are sensitizing employees, okay, that this is the right way of communicating. This is, a not so good way, a proper way of communicating. How do you communicate with respect? The sensitivities that you have to keep in mind when you are working with a male colleague and a female colleague. So a lot of steps have been taken. What needs to be done more, and to some extent it has started, but it is leaders that lead by example, right? So the top leaders, starting from the MDs, the CEO, the board of directors, and then going down to the C level, if they do take up this concept that, hey, we are a diverse organization, diversity is important to us, and it's just not about the numbers. It is also about making everyone feel included, and it is also about equitable distribution of work, responsibilities, and anything else that might be allocated. If that message goes, and not once, but repeatedly at the town halls, at all hands meeting that keeps on happening, then it can really, then employees also get the message down the leader that, okay, our leader is talking about this. So that means our organization is serious about it. So that means I, as a person, need to take care of it in my sphere of responsibility because it matters. So leaders really have to walk the talk and lead by example here. Those messages need to be given more frequently. We have started taking steps in the right direction. I mean, if we look at, 5 years ago, we were not even talking about diversity and inclusion. 3 years ago, we started to include equity. Now the allyship thing has come up. And we are discussing today on how to find your seat at the table. So that is progress. We have taken the steps. We need to sustain and, just build it up from here. You are on mute.
I put myself on mute. The virtual problem. Thank you so much. I'm also cognizant of the time. So Kaveri, one question for you. I think the last one that we take. What has been one of your major learnings in this entire journey? I know I started with that adjective and you had a great thing, but one major learning you have that you'd like to give to everybody, and then we'll ask the same question to our other two panelists before we wind it up.
Sure. I'll squeeze in two, if you don't mind.
Your time.
I couldn't choose one.
Yeah, Piyusha and Anusha are going to scream at me, but that's okay. The floor is all yours.
Listen, I'm told I'm a balance. And before I do that, right, a quick sneak in of even my perspective of allyship. I think, when the organizations are going to be so supportive, I think women must also take a step forward and prove that we deserve it, right? So even if it means working harder to prove that they have made the right choice, the organizations made the right choice and offering, the challenges that they are, sort of trusting us with. But coming to your question, Shruti, on learnings, right? My first one, I'd like to sort of give an example. It's what I call as glass slippers, sneakers, and combat boots. Okay. And basically, women need to learn, and this is what I have learned over the last couple of decades, is you have to use the right pair of shoes for the right occasion, right? You want to wear glass slippers when you really want to be sort of taking it easy, but want to be gracious, right? In the corporate ladder, I don't think one can do anything but wear combat boots, because we have to be warriors out there. And then, of course, there are periods in one's life where one would possibly want to put on the sneakers and, sort of take it slightly more in a balanced way, right? So I keep calling it my shoe theory. I love shoes, by the way, as you could guess. So I think bringing the right shoes to the right occasion is one. And the second one, which I'm sneaking in, is the ability to balance the yeses and nos. There's a lot of times where, you want to go say yes to every single opportunity because you want to grab everything, right? And then over the course of years, you learn that the beauty or the art lies in being able to say no to things, right? And because of that, making space and time for quality deliveries on wherever you choose to say yes. So I think that beautiful balance between yes and no, which, by the way, I think women are born with being able to be great multitaskers, but I think we also shy away from saying no's. So I think it's important to learn the balance between the two. Yep.
That was a great one. And I think we'll all agree, the ability to, or the inability to say no. Yes, quickly, Isha, coming to you, one learning you have for the audience, and then we can move to Smita.
Sure. So, this is like an acronym I have, right? Where I believe that if you want a seat at the table, you've got to be a diva. And basically why? Because D, I think, stands for domain. I think, like Kaveri said, you have to be great at what you do. And this is irrespective of men, women. You just have to know what you are doing, and you have to be just great at it. Continuously learning, upskilling. I mean, that has to be like the backbone if you want that seat at the table. I is what I already said. Your intent to go out there and say that, this is what I want. This is what I want to do. Even if you're not ready right now to go ahead and talk to your boss, talk to your colleagues about it, do it to yourself. Maybe just write it down. Tell yourself what is it that you want to do and prepare that plan. V is about value. I think a lot of times we shy away as women from talking about the value that we've created, our teams have created. We shy away from that. We use a lot of we's, very less I's. I think it's important to really clearly call out, this is the goal of the organization. See the value that I've created and talk about it again and again and again and again. And the last, we just had that conversation, authentic. You have to be, true to your purpose. You have to be somebody that people in the organization know you for a certain, quality or a certain, edge that you bring to the role, that you bring to your teams and with your stakeholders and clients. So that's my sort of funda. So be a diva.
What a beautiful acronym. Smita, your learning.
Yeah. And before I start with that, Kaveri, I absolutely loved your shoes analogy. I can see that you are very fond of shoes, but I'll always remember it. And Isha, diva, superb. Okay, so coming to me, okay, I will also sneak in two, Shruti, if you don't mind over here.
I won't.
No, I will not mind because it is Smita's birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Smita.
Oh, thank you so much. And I don't know, Anusha, how you came to know it. Thank you.
The Women's Web team takes care, right? Happy birthday, and please, over to you for your last words.
Thank you. Okay, the first thing is about the mindset. Okay, especially at the at the early stages of my career when I was growing, I had this a gratitude mindset, as I called it, that okay, if I used to get some challenging opportunities or if I used to get what I asked for, I used to feel grateful. It took me many years to come to a stage where I have reframed my mindset that, it is not about feeling gratitude. It is not about gratification. It is about empowerment. We need to change our mindset from a gratitude-driven one to an empowered one. We as women should not be grateful to sit at a table. We deserve this table. We have as much right to this table as men. And nobody is doing us a favor by giving us certain opportunities or, providing us what we are asking for. But as women, it is very important for us to believe it. It took me a lot of time to change my mindset. The second thing is, I would say, again, about mindset, getting rid of the scarcity mindset. Unfortunately, the representation of women is so poor at most of the tables that when it comes, sometimes when more than one woman turns up at the table, we often tend to compete with each other. And we should learn to not just fight for our seat, but to create multiple seats. We need to get rid of the scarcity mindset and champion each other. It is always much more powerful if a Kaveri, an Isha, a Shruti are there with the table with Smita, rather than Smita just being here alone and preaching something to someone. So there is room for everyone. We just need to remember it is not about me. It is about us.
What a lovely thing to say. And thank you so much, Kaveri, Smita, and Isha. This was great. I'm sure everyone who's hearing this has learned a lot. I have. And, there are moments, some of these things, right? But you do need some of these conversations to tap you on the knuckles and say, hold on, are you saying no? Do you think you're entitled? Do you think you're doing the right thing? So I guess, and some of these acronyms, the Diva one, I think this is amazing. So thank you so much for taking out time being a part of this. Over to you, Anusha.
Thank you. What a power-packed discussion. Thank you so much. Once again, Shruti, you moderated this so beautifully. It was so seamless and everybody has really spoken their mind and their heart based on experiences, based on, the journeys that they have traversed with time and the various learnings they've had. So really kudos to making a difference to so many lives ahead together, as you put it very well. And one thing that really stood out for me was, yes, verbalize what you want to do. That is so critical, so critical. There are enough and more, chances or times if one looks back and you may not have verbalized particularly what you want to do in a professional sphere. So, all right, there are a lot of women though who do verbalize what they want to do, and they have fought the, what the panel lovely, they called it the benevolence bias, right? So even though not every woman gets a second chance to reclaim her career, but there are women who have beaten the odds, taken charge of their career, and have not only returned to work, but are thriving. And at Women in Corporate Awards today, 2022, live with us, we will recognize them in the special feature that we've created. We're going to play for you a video featuring Return to Work Women. All right. I think there was a bit of a trouble with the audio. It was really low volume, but we did get to see the women who have returned to work. We did see a couple of quotes and where they are right now in their life. And definitely we will be sharing the video on YouTube as well as other social media channels. And please, most welcome to watch the conversation there, where we have spoken with and taken sound bites from women who have returned to work after career breaks for various reasons. So yes, huge congratulations to each of them who appeared in this video, as well as so many more. And our aspiration really is to reach out to more and more as we keep going ahead. I'm sure everybody who's here with us today is going to be the trailblazer, the one who is going to be opening the door for the next woman to come up and be a part of the professional world. Now we have an interesting discussion with someone who has overcome obstacles. All of us have obstacles in our life, but here we have a story of Mrunmayee Abrol, who's with us today. who has overcome obstacles that would have easily put a halt to her dreams and aspirations. In this session, aptly titled Achiever Spotlight, we celebrate her achievements. And since WICA 2022 is all about taking inspiration from others, who better than Mrunmayee to take inspiration from? A bit about Mrunmayee Abrol, who you will hear shortly. She is the PR head for Amazon devices and Alexa. But that's not it. Mrunmayee dons many hats. She is the communications professional with more than 18 years of experience. She is an award-winning para-athlete and also a blogger. At Amazon India, Mrunmayee heads public relations for Amazon devices and Alexa. Previously, she has also worked as the Director of Communications for South Asia at Opera Software. Speaking with Mrunmayee would be Piyusha Veer, who is with us right now, Client Solutions Manager at Women's Web. Piyusha is an artist, writer, and trainer. She has authored 3 books. Piyusha is passionate about the cause of intersectional feminism and is actively working to promote inclusion and diversity through her role at Women's Web as Client Solutions Manager. I've had the pleasure of working with Piyusha recently, and it's been a total joy. Handing over to you, Piyusha, who is the moderator for this session.
Thank you, Anusha. You've been great throughout. We'll dive right in. Mrunmayee, like Anusha said in her introduction, you've donned many hats. You've been an achiever all throughout, and you've overcome many obstacles and challenges that would have probably otherwise put a halt in the pursuit of our dreams. And the way you've powered through and emerged victorious, for any of us, that itself is a success. And yet you say in your blog, and I quote here, I would compare myself to the previous me and it felt that I was not doing enough. So what is your definition of success, and what are the driving factors that helped you overcome these challenges and kept you motivated?
Firstly, I'd like to thank Anusha for the wonderful introduction. And I've been listening to the sessions, previous session. It's been great to hear to all the panelists. I'm learning a lot today. Before I answer your question, Piyusha, I'd just like to address the elephant in the room. I'd just like to start with explaining the disability that I have and a little bit of background. So I've lived 30 years of my life as an able-bodied person, just like most of you in the audience today. Lived by myself in a city like Mumbai, building a career, traveling, etc. And then I had a road accident, which changed the way I live. So I got a spinal cord injury in the road accident in my neck. So my spinal cord is fractured in the neck, so which means my brain is not able to communicate with the body below my shoulders. It's called quadriplegia, and it's 90% paralysis of the body. Now it's like quite a stark difference in the way I'm used to living my life and how I'm living it today. So it's quite a life-changing experience for me. And it has taken me quite a few years to come to terms, to accept myself and, overcome my own personal biases, let alone bring awareness towards the cause. So it's been a journey and it continues. And now I'll come to the question that Piyusha asked about definition of success. So I think for me, how I define success is being happy with your life and the decisions that you've taken for yourself. I think I believe it a pure mantra of living with no regrets. At every moment in my life, every decision that I've made is exactly what I wanted at that moment. So that always helps me to, keep moving forward and not feel bad about myself. And if I'm not feeling bad, I'm obviously being very happy. So I'm pretty much, as a person also, I'm very self-motivated. I realized very early in life, whether it's work or even in personal space, unless I'm feeling good about myself, I will not, it doesn't help whatever anybody says. So I try to motivate myself by writing. And you just heard about the blog. I blog at mrunmayee.com, where I started it to just pen my thoughts. I look forward how 3 years after my spinal cord injury or 4 years after my injury. And when I look at today, it's 11 years after my spinal cord injury. And when I look back at what I've written, I know how I've struggled through the first 3 years of my injury, and I feel really proud of it. So when I look back how far I've come, this really keeps me motivated in going forward.
Right. And like you said, it couldn't have been an easy journey, and especially the transition from being able bodied to fighting with a challenge that left you struggling with physical and mental health. So, what were your foolproof strategies when it comes to good mental health?
Okay. I've been like on a trial and error format. So usually I'm a very reserved person. So I'm an introvert. I don't like to talk too much about myself. So even when the injury happened, I was in a space that I was not sure if anybody else was interested in my problems. Why would they want to hear me out? Everybody's busy with their own lives. So I withdrew from my friends as to, like they have their own life happening, whereas mine has paused or it's on a slow mode right now. So that was a change that I didn't have people to talk to. So at that particular time, I realized that I need to do something about it because it was impacting the way I thought about myself and the way I thought about how I'm working in office as well. So at various phases in my life in the last 10 years, I have accessed different kinds of therapists and counselors. When I was in rehabilitation center at the Indian Spinal Injury Center, we had a peer counselor. So she had experience with people with spinal cord injury. So she knew exactly what people like me feel when they become physically disabled after having lived many years as an able-bodied person. Then I had peer mentors, which means people who have spinal cord injury, with whom I can discuss anything under the sun. We can have a week-long conversation just about bladder management or bowel management. So access to these people help me. Even now, I always go back to my therapist if there's something that I need to work on. So I think I don't think of seeking professional help as a taboo, and I've always benefited from that. And one of the other, I started my conversation by saying I'm pretty much self-motivated. So whatever the therapist might say, I had to think good about myself. So what I've done is two things that have helped me. One is after being in conversation with therapists for many times, I realized that my perception of me is what I think of myself, right? So I have got a big peacock tattoo on my forearm, which says, you are what you think you are. Not sure if I can show it properly, but it's a huge one. And so it's always a reminder to me as to what I think about myself is more important. And another thing that keeps me motivated at work is I have a big post-it on my on the desk which says, if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. I think these mantras have helped me to keep going on and bring back my confidence and have a good mental health.
I love that. And I so agree with you. I personally believe that therapy is for everyone because there's so much of unseen, unrecognized trauma in our lives. Now, my next question is, I know you said that you don't like talking about yourself, Mrunmayee, but this section is all about you. So we're going to tom your achievements as much as we can. What has been your biggest achievement till date? And what is your greatest learning from your corporate journey so far?
I think my biggest achievement is yet to come. But I'm proud of what are the things I've been able to do for myself. In the introduction, you heard about how I've ventured into new things. Growing up, I was never a sports person. I was never into active sports as well. But now I have discovered something beautiful called para sports, which also I'm venturing. Although I'm I hear comments like you're too old to get into sports right now, or there's not much infrastructure. If you see the sponsorship and the infrastructure for regular sports that is there, as compared to that, hardly 0.5% is available for sports for people with disabilities. It's quite challenging. But I think I'm pretty happy of how I'm able to work through all those challenges. And that's just another way of keep channeling what I want to contribute and do next. If I say on the work front, since we are here at the event about people in corporates, women in corporates, I especially like to highlight that now like Piyusha, you also mentioned, I would compare myself with the previous version of me, how physically active I was at work versus now I use a wheelchair, a motorized wheelchair to move around, but I'm not able to just run or pick things up physically by myself. So the way I work has changed. So one of my biggest learnings in the last 10 years has been learning to accept myself. If I accept myself, people will. Now, if when I'm in public relations, my work involves interacting with media, external stakeholders, partners, business leaders, and so on. So if I don't feel confident about myself, how will the person on the other end feel confident about interacting with me? So when I accepted myself and when I feel comfortable in my skin, so what if I'm on my wheelchair? I'm still able to do things with my mind. I can still contribute and bring value. When I have this mindset, I've seen that the person on the other side also feels comfortable. And if there are any people with disabilities or even minorities, and you find yourself different from the others, just realize that if you are comfortable in your own skin, others will also accept you. I think that's been one of the biggest learnings. Another learning has been on the corporate side as a person with a disability. Now, I have never thought how important accessibility is before I became a wheelchair user, right? Similarly, I don't assume that most people in corporate offices will understand the disability world, our requirements and needs. So it's a learning curve for most of them, because how often do you see people on wheelchairs in malls, movie theaters, and so on? Forget corporates. So it's understandable that there's less awareness. So one thing I advise I have, a learning that I have as a person with disability is not to feel ashamed about my disability or the accommodations or accessibility accommodation that I ask at work. For example, I need a ramp in the office, or any events that I do, they need to be accessible venues. I use a particular software at work. The way I do things is differently. Instead of typing, I dictate it into my laptop, or and similar other ways. So the way I do things is differently, and I'm not ashamed of asking for accommodation that will help me deliver my best. I think these are the two big learning that I've had in the corporate world. But again, I just like to repeat what I heard from Smita in the previous session. She spoke about moving from a gratitude mindset to a mindset where you feel you deserve the seat at the table. I think that's like really gold. That struck with me, that if you feel valuable, then you will feel like you belong to the place you're working.
Absolutely. And I think you're very much doing that. You're an athlete, you're a traveler. I particularly love how you've used your own experiences to push the conversation around accessibility. You even yourself, like you said, own the disability that you have, and you call yourself a wheelchair wanderer. So I want to talk about accessibility, since we've been discussing that topic around already. What is the meaning of accessibility? What are some of the key points to remember when creating accessible products? And how does tech help in being more accessible or inclusive?
I think, firstly, I'm glad to live in an age where we have technology. Now, when I had my accident 10 years back, I had just moved to an iPhone, the screen phone. And before that, all of us used to like those phones with QWERTY keypads and so on. And I can't press buttons. Paralysis below shoulders mean I can't use my fingers as well. I can just move my arms. So it would have been very difficult for me to get back to work, or even like we do so many things on our phones nowadays, right? But just being able to tap a touch screen, like I'm a quadriplegic, and a touch screen has improved accessibility to email, social media, calling, etc., and has made things easy for me. But you see, even you, many of you are now, everybody I think is on touch screen phones, and you see how easy life it is for you as well, right? So accessibility not just helps people with disabilities, but also people with able bodies. I think in simple word, accessibility means providing an equal playing field to those in need. So while a ramp is useful for me on a wheelchair, Ramp is also useful for an expecting mother who doesn't want jerks or is traveling in a car, or someone who's carrying her child in a pram. So a ramp could be useful for that person as well. I think so many of us wear spectacles nowadays. That's also another accessibility tool, that we are using specs so that you can so that you can see clearly. Similarly, accessibility means different for different people, and it just means providing a level playing field so that everyone can live their life to the best of their abilities. When creating accessible products, I think the biggest takeaway for any product manager has to be that although you're developing or creating something for a particular cohort, its usages can be wide and for many people. For example, if you have captioning on YouTube, it will not only help people who are hard of hearing or deaf, but it can also help people who don't understand the language, right? Not understanding a language is not a disability, but still you are going to be impacting people who don't have a disability. So just always remember that accessibility just increases inclusion to like 10x times.
Absolutely. And that, I think, brings me to the last question. When are you participating in the next Paralympics?
Well, hope so. Fingers, legs, everything crossed that I get selected and I'm able to represent the country. Working very hard for this. It's not easy, you see all these, all our Indian players, cricketers, Virat Kohli, legends, and even para athletes. It's not easy to give your 100%, which I have learned because I'm new to sports and increasing my strength physically, going to the gym, exercising, practicing every day. So it's big learning from me, and like hats off to people and para athletes who have shown the path that this can be done. And I'm just working hard to reach there one day.
Well, everybody at Vika and Women's Web is cheering for you. So all the best for that.
Thank you so much, Piyusha.
Thank you, Murmay. Over to you, Anusha.
Thank you, Piyusha. Thank you so much, Murmay. I mean, absolutely, as Piyusha said, we're all cheering for you. I mean, that's just amazing. I mean, the fact that you're preparing hard, you're going to the gym, you're training for it, and the fact that you so beautifully acknowledged all the other para athletes who have, led the way, and I'm sure you're already leading the way by talking about and showing your, grit and gumption to get there. And just lovely what you said, that if you're comfortable in your own skin, then certainly others will also accept you. But add to that the bit about, if you feel you're valuable, then you will, book that place for yourself and carve that niche for yourself and really claim it as your space, right? And that's the same that we said, and this is for everybody, whether anyone is able-bodied or not able-bodied, across the board, for all of us in the professional and personal space of our lives, right? That is why, as Aparna said in the beginning, that each person who nominated themselves for the Vika Awards is a winner in their own way. They're already a step ahead because they believe that they belong to they belong somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Thanks so much. Thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you for having me.
But you're not going to go. I will ask you to stay around, Runmay, because I totally, it's my absolute rare pleasure to invite you to do the honors for the next set of awards, because I'm sure there are nominees who are waiting here for the awards, the final set of awards for Vika 2022. We have the category of diversity. Our jury members for the diversity category are Mrunmay and Subha Chandrasekharan. I call upon Mrunmay once again, who is here with us, PR head for Amazon devices and Alexa, and Smita Das Jain, who we all heard in the panel discussion earlier, founder and CEO, Empower Yourself, to please present the awards. This is the first category, Emerging Vika for Diversity. Alina Usmani, Project Lead, Jatayu Unmanned Technologies Private Limited, and Shiba Vinay, Compiler and Editor, VTalk Writers and Publisher. Smita, we can't hear you.
No, I was not speaking.
I
Is this
thought you
this
were
is
going to
not my
announce.
category?
Mrunmayee, please.
Yeah. So firstly, congratulations, Alina and Shiva, for nominating yourselves. It's great to see the work that you've done and how it impacts so many more people beyond yourselves. So cheers to that. The awardee for this category is Alina Usmani. She's a firm believer in the view that women can not only be a part of STEM, but also flourish it. Alina is the project lead at Jatayu Unmanned Technologies Private Limited. She's an experienced drone test pilot and an expert in the field of aerial systems. That's super exciting. She hopes to inspire more women to participate in this emerging field. Congratulations again, Alina.
Thank you, Mrunmayee. Here we have our shortlisted professionals, Luminary Vika for Diversity Awards 2022, Surbhi Rastogi, Group Total Rewards Lead, All Cargo Group, Amita Rajendran, HR Manager, Square Panda India, Shweta Chandrasekhar, who is the Senior HR Manager at Here Technologies, and Aditi Shioran, who is CEO, Carpedim Learning.
Woohoo! I'm glad to say that we have 3 awardees in this section. The first one is Surbhi, who's the group, like you hear, she's a group total rewards lead at All Cargo Group. She has become a champion for the cause of the return to work program for mothers on a career break. She's been pushing the agenda for the implementation of diversity-oriented policies, and she believes this will pave the way for many women seeking employment in a largely growing sector. Congrats, Surbhi. The second awardee is Shweta. Shweta is a senior HR manager at Here Technologies. She has helped build platforms that drive inclusion across the gender spectrum and support women to think boldly about their careers. I think it's a much needed skill of today's age now. So congrats again, Shweta. And the third awardee is Amita Rajendran. Amita is a versatile, articulate, and detail-oriented HR professional who believes in strategic and operational thinking with a key focus on employee engagement and development. She's passionate about advocating for diversity and inclusion, building an awesome culture and memorable workplace experiences. Congratulations, Amita.
Congratulations, everyone. Thank you for doing the honors, Mrunmayee. Here are the shortlistees for Trailblazer Vika for Diversity 2022. We have Neha Mahajan, who is Senior Engineering Manager at Thomson Reuters. We have Narinder Kaur, who is AGM Corporate at Morpen Laboratories Limited. Payal Ghosh, who is Senior Manager PPT. And Balvinder Kaur Khurana, who is Principal Consultant with ThoughtWorks Technologies Private Limited. Over to you, Smita, to announce the awardees.
Thanks, Anusha. Okay, congratulations to all the nominees. You all are winners here. Okay, the first name that I have here is Narinder Kaur, who is an AGM corporate at Morpen Laboratories Limited. Narinder has worked towards strategically hiring employees from diverse backgrounds and has brought positive change to her organization's cultural values. She is also an author and a life coach. So heartiest congratulations, Narinder. This second name that I have here is Balvinder Kaur Khurana, who is Principal Consultant at ThoughtWorks Technologies Private Limited. Balvinder is an influential speaker and a guide, known for her expertise in the big data. Her unique perspective of working to successfully deliver projects has immensely helped her clients. Heartiest congratulations to you, Balvinder. And the third name here is Neha Mahajan, Senior Engineering Manager, Thomson Reuters. Passionate about women in tech, Neha is a big advocate for women in leadership roles. She is currently the Senior Engineering Manager at Thomson Reuters and has helped empower more than 1,000 women directly and indirectly through workplace initiatives. Heartiest congratulations to you, Neha.
Thank you for doing the honors, Smita, and warm congratulations and cheers to all the awardees for VICA 2022. With that, I invite on the virtual stage Aparna Vedpuri Singh, to please give her remarks and her thoughts.
Thank you, Anusha. I'll just take a minute to, of course, first thank you for the wonderful job you've been doing of hosting us all the entire evening. I know it's not easy to keep the energy up high, especially when we're in a virtual setting and you can't actually see your audience, but they're all out there, both on our YouTube and on Daily Hunt, avidly listening to all our speakers today. So thank you for keeping all our energy levels up throughout the session. It's been wonderful having you. And to our audience, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure having you all. We've been reading your comments on our YouTube, and to those of you who are watching us on Daily Hunt as well. Thank you for being an amazingly involved audience. It's been such a pleasure, interacting with everyone today, and I hope we can all stay connected. I know we've had a 2.5-hour event, and many of us are, now winding up and carrying on with the rest of our evening. So I'll just take a very quick few minutes to reiterate what I said about at the beginning about continuing to be allies for each other, especially for those of you who may not have been with us at the beginning. So I basically spoke about 4 ways in which we could all continue to be allies as far as, using the Women's Web community and platform is concerned. So we'd love to, of course, have you on the platform, sharing your insights, experiences, ideas with other women. Just click the register button. It's a very simple process. You log in and, you'll be taken to the contributor platform where you can share your opinions and ideas. So that's number 1. If you are in a position in your organization where you can impact diversity, then please come and talk to us about how you'd like to use the skills of our community members in producing great content and experiences for your organization. We do that by using the power of the community. So we bring opportunities for women and great offerings for organizations together. We're really at the intersection of that. Third, if you're looking at, enhancing the leadership journeys of women in your organization, again, there is a lot that the Women's Web community has to offer. Please get in touch to learn more about it. And of course, finally, stay tuned. We will be adding you to our mailer database. We will be sending you ongoing information. If you're not already on our database, we will be sending you updated information on exciting opportunities, events, experiences, great content to access and keep you inspired. So do continue to, be part of the community, share it forward, continue sharing it with other women that you think could benefit from it. And that's, another way in which you can be part of this empowering community and be a great ally to other women at work. So closing off with that, thank you all so much for being there with us today. And we look forward to seeing you again as we, continue bringing women together in interesting and empowering ways. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aparna. I think you've wrapped up the spirit and the vision that is Women's Web really for all of us who are part of the Women's Web community, and will continue to really grow together in complete sync with the theme of VICA 2022. Stay connected, everybody, with Women's Web for more such sessions. And we hope, of course, to see you at VICA 2023. And once again, we warmly thank our partners for today, Daily Hunt, MASH Global, and NARA. Continue sharing about today's event on social media. Don't use our don't forget to use our hashtag VICA 2022 and tag us at Women's Web. Thank you for joining in and for being not just an audience, but a really participative audience. Have